The storm raged as Ethan arrived at Blackthorn Manor, its towering silhouette barely visible through the sheets of rain. The house had been abandoned for over a century, yet tonight, the windows glowed with a faint, flickering light. The legends claimed that each room held a secret, one darker than the last. Skeptics called it nonsense. Ethan was here to prove them wrong. The heavy wooden doors groaned as he pushed them open. The air inside was thick, stale, carrying the scent of decay. The grand chandelier, long coated in dust, swayed gently despite the stillness of the room. He stepped inside, and the door slammed shut behind him. The entrance hall stretched before him, lined with portraits of the Blackthorn family. Their eyes seemed to track his every move. He swallowed hard and pressed forward, flashlight in hand. The first room he entered was a lavish sitting room, untouched by time. A tea set rested on a table, steam rising from the cups as if someone had just poured it. He turned away for a second, and when he looked back, one of the chairs was pulled out. His heartbeat quickened, but he pressed on. The dining room was worse. The long mahogany table was set for a feast, plates filled with rotting food, maggots writhing between the silverware. As he stepped closer, the chandeliers above flickered, and a whisper brushed against his ear. "Eat with us." He spun around. No one was there. Yet, the chairs creaked as if unseen guests were shifting in their seats. Upstairs, the hallway was suffocatingly narrow, the wallpaper peeling like dying flesh. He pushed open a door and found himself in a nursery. A single rocking horse creaked back and forth, though there was no breeze. The walls were covered in children's drawings of him. His breath hitched. The sketches depicted him standing in the very room he was in, and behind him, a shadowed figure loomed. A loud thud echoed from the hallway. His stomach tightened as he stepped out. The door at the far end, which had been closed before, now stood slightly ajar. A sliver of darkness beckoned him inside. The master bedroom smelled of damp wood and something fouler. The four-poster bed was draped in rotted fabric, and on the vanity, an ornate mirror stood. Ethan's reflection was normal, until it wasn't. His mirrored self smiled. But Ethan wasn't smiling. The reflection raised a hand and pointed behind him. A raspy breath brushed against his neck. He turned, flashlight shaking. The room was empty. Then, a whisper from the mirror, "You're home now." The room blurred, the walls melting into shifting corridors. The door back to the hall was gone. In its place stood another mirror, and another. Dozens surrounded him, each showing twisted versions of himself, laughing, screaming, decaying. Outside, the storm ceased. Blackthorn Manor stood silent once more, waiting for its next guest.